How y'all doing? Hey, my name's Freddie Casil. I'm part of one of the car clubs here in Victoria. Actually, one of the oldest. Also, we date back to 1987 at least. Went to the Curve Car Club. I'm actually a founder. We provided service to Victoria. We had children network benefit car club shows and stuff. What we used to do was try to give back to the town, so anytime we could, we would help out. Um, I date back from back whenever I was 9 or 10 years old, getting off the school bus, seeing my first lowrider bike. From there, I just kept on getting inspired to lowriding between my neighbors and my parents having some clean rides and stuff. Um, I went to one of my first, well, actually, one of my biggest shows was in Houston whenever Lowrider first came to Texas back in '94. I ended up taking first place when they first came to Texas. And from there on, man, we just kept on going. We did our own work. When people would have time off, they would go work at the shop. We would work on each other's cars on our days off, and we did a lot of, we did a lot of stuff. We blended with each other a lot. We traveled, went to different towns. Everything that we did was we treated each other like family. It was almost like you had another brother or sister that was not quite family, but yeah, we were connected. Like I was saying earlier, I think I was 9 or 10. We were getting home off the school bus, and the school bus drove up to my house, and all of us saw bikes sitting in my driveway, and I'm like, they're like, oh my God, that's cool, and I'm like, I'm saying, oh, that's cool with them, and I'm like freaking out, right? And I get off the school bus, run inside, and tell my mom, I was like, Mom, whose bike is that? This and that. And they were like, that's yours, and I was like, wow. I mean, it was the swing body. It had the little things all hanging from it. I mean, it was in detail a lowrider bike, what it would be back in the day, right? Think about it. This had to be like, I mean, it had to be in the '80s, '81, or just way back, right? And that was one of my inspired me, right? From there on, my dad had a Lincoln. We had clean cars, and then my neighbors across a couple blocks over, they had some lowriders, right? This is back in the day, right? And from there on, I just kind of like played, and then just something rang a bell, man. I said, you know what? I want to do that, right? So from there, I started picking up skills. In high school, I went to state for painting and stuff. I bought my first car, and I took it to VICA, to a vocational school. I built my first car there. I did what people don't do. I painted my bumpers. People didn't painting your chrome back in the day was unheard of, right? I did that. I sandblasted it. I painted them. So I made the car unique, right? I put a custom spoiler, I put a custom paint, I had the LED lights that people weren't doing back then. So when I came out different, right? I started turning heads, I started drawing attention. So I took that energy, man, and I said, you know what? Let me, I bumped up, I got a little older, right? I turned 16, 17. I had this fancy looking car that I built from the ground up. And then I started having these members that were like family to me. And Eugene was one of my big guys that was Eugene and Williams and Williams, Clinton Williams. I mean, these guys were like inspired me to keep on pushing too, right? So we took that energy. I went from low riding to Euro, right? So back then, when I started off my club, I wasn't just a low rider, right? So we didn't just have Impalas and Bombas and stuff like that. We had CRXs, we had trucks, we had dancing beds. We were doing stuff that people were thinking about doing, right? We took it out, we took a torch, we cut it. And that's why I always said one thing they messed up by giving a Mexican a torch or a welding machine because we can have fun with our Lolos and fix them the next weekend with no doubt. So what we ended up doing was I had all these different styles, right? So I went from low riding to Euros. So here we are hitting up Texas Heat Wave, hitting low rider shows, Flatonia, Chili's, Goliad, Houston, Corpus, Austin. Man, we were all over the state of Texas, and we were bringing trophies home, right? So this was back in '94. So here we go. We were one of these big shows here in Victoria. Like I was saying, California saw that. They people look at numbers, right? They saw that, right? So they decided to make a trip to Texas, and that's whenever the Lowrider Tour ended up in Texas, man. That was back in '94, one of their first ones, man. And And I took that one car that no one heard of, painting the bumpers, right? You leave your chrome in the lowrider world. Well, I painted mine, and boom, I was blessed to win, man. I won one of the, I won first place one year, and the next year I won second. Hey, it's part of it, man. It was bragging rights. I really didn't worry about winning the trophy. I just wanted bragging rights that I worked hard for this car, put my hands on it, and we put our hands on all of our cars. And for them to come out, I think that's what makes us really proud as club members back in the day. Whenever I had the first generation, that's the way we rode, man. We united as one, and we did it for each other. We had rules. I mean, I got posters out there right now at this show that it shows back in '94 that all my members say, this is what we're doing, this is where we're at, this is what time we're going to be there. So I was building at the same time. Think about it, right? I had these lowrider bikes, man. These guys that are youngsters. I was showing them there's a format, there's rules you got to follow. There's a boss, there's a dad, so not everybody can be the boss, right? So it made me feel good. And now to see these guys, they're all grown up. They got their own car clubs. They got their own businesses. That's like, you know what? It makes me feel good as a person to say, hey, I had part of I built his character, and that was one thing the way we rolled. We had integrity, we had honesty, we had humility. If we were wrong, we were wrong. If integrity, we're going to be 100. Whatever we do, we're going to do 100 for you, because we don't want no smoke in the air. We want to make sure that what we give to you is 100%. If we say we're going to come and help do this car show for y'all and earn money, we're going to do it. If we say we're going to show up at a car show, we're going to do it. Sometimes there's bad days. It's part of it. But we're going to be honest, and we're going to have humility and say, hey, we can't make it, or we're sorry about that. We just can't do it. But going back to my club, the lowrider world, we jump up to now. Things has changed a lot. I mean, between COVID, between the world changing, so the game has changed a lot, right? So you got to restructure your club, and you got to rethink this out. Where are we at? How can we keep this going? How can we keep on making money for some of these networks and some of these benefits and places? And as far as me, I took this energy. Okay, so I'm not too much in the lowriders with my club, because we got the second generation, we got the second chapters, but I'm still there in the background. But I took that same energy, man. I took that energy and said, you know what? I'm going to continue on giving back. So I joined the Lions Club, man. I'm a president of Downtown Victoria Lions Club because I want to keep on giving back. As a person, I think every time, if you live like no one else, if you give like no one else, you live like no one else. I live off of that, because I think it's true that I think that at the outcome, whatever we do is we get in return. So with the club, I took that energy and said, and I think that was the whole inspiring is me as a guy, a founder of To the Curb, was because I want to give back. And that was my way of giving back. If it's to a child that just needs to know my testimony, if it's a child that just needs a father figure, if it's someone that needs to be out in the streets and needs to do something positive with his life, that was us, man. We decided we'd take this energy. You're too tired to do anything extra, right? So we took the lowrider world, and I went from painting to hydraulics. I got my first set of hydraulics put in, and we took that and we rebuilt that wiring diagram, all that good stuff. Every person in my club had their little spot. Who was good at wiring? Who was good at welding? Who was good at painting? Who was good at detailing? Who was good at planning? Who was good at So it goes way back. I mean, it takes a lot of energy to hold a strong, structured club. And at one time, we were almost 25 deep of all nice cars. At first, they started factory, and then we cut into them. Man, we had one of our members. He got a truck right from Houston, brought it in Victoria. We started chopping it down. Before you know it, he had a dancing bed. He's in the freaking Lowrider magazine. He had a dancing bed. He had a hood that flipped. The inside was totally custom. The speakers were built inside the truck, inside out. I mean, these are the kind of stuff that made me feel good, because I know that they're doing it out of their heart, man. So that's actually the beginning of what started To the Curb was me walking out that school bus, freaking out, not knowing whose bike that was. And I mean, who would ever known that I would have had to build an empire that we built? I mean, not only we were only club members and whatnot, but actually some of the guys actually made money through the club. I mean, they actually did stuff that other people saw that they had skills for and said, hey, will you do this for me? I'll pay you. So it made me feel good to say, hey, you know what? They even brought money to their table. You know, as the guys started getting older and all that good stuff, you know, they took that energy and ran with it. So I truly believe that half, if not more than half, 90% of these guys, that their character was built part through us. And I appreciate that to be part of it. I definitely was probably the second true club established here in Victoria. One of the first, respectfully, was or has been Low Impression. And I remember them very well, actually, because some of their cars, I don't know if it was part of his club or not, but some of them cars, when I was like 6 or 7, riding my bike on the next block from my house, I remember seeing these cars, man. So I truly believe that club was one of the first in Victoria, and I was the second. We together, me and Low Impression, rode and represented Victoria in Houston 1 year or 2 years. I mean, to represent Victoria, to go over there and blend with Houston, I think I was probably the second club in Victoria as far as a solid club to be known and established. I think what my thoughts behind being that some of the car shows have subsided or cut off almost 100%. It's kind of sad because I don't think that a lot of these, and not too harsh on businesses because I'm a businessman myself, but I don't think the surrounding businesses know exactly what it entails when a car club has a car show. It's not just to benefit them, it's to benefit the youth, it's to benefit the city of Victoria, it's to benefit your business. If you have a store, if you have a restaurant, if you have a clothing store, if you have any of these outfits around Victoria area, um, it's important that you sponsor a car club to throw a car show because this is what brings bread to Victoria. This is what keeps the economy going. This is what gets your network out. This is what gets revenue to your business. So what I'm leaning on is that I think a lot of these car shows have stopped and almost went to nothing in the past. It's because the funding wasn't there. You can't expect for a car club to put all of the funding because not everybody has that kind of money, right? When we were around, we were a big network, right? We were we had a lot of cars. Back then, when we were doing it back in 90, 94, 95, 96, 97, you know, we had revenue, we just had bigger numbers, right? And what I mean is, we had a sort of culture in my club, right? We were low riders, we were heroes, like I was talking about. So we had the funding that we can actually put up to a sense. So what I'm seeing now, there's some shows popping up now, but in between that big old gap, I'm seeing that there wasn't that help that we actually as car clubs can grab for to throw these shows to benefit us as business people, as Victoria, as a network. You know, they don't have that help. I feel for these groups coming up, the second generations, which is our club, the second chapters, which was in Austin. But I feel for them because you know you don't have that help like that used to be there. That say, hey, you know what? I'll sponsor y'all. Go ahead and throw this and blah blah blah, right? Because when we threw car clubs, car shows, 100% of our fund, of our earnings went to children networks, benefits, or any services that might be in crisis, right? So we would cut them a check, and boom, there was them. Eugene Jacobs' mother, when she was in the club too, she was like, 45, almost 50, right back then, so we called her mom. She took care of all of our businesses, all of our paperwork, and his dad, I mean, they were really, I mean, you got to have all these puzzles got to fit perfect in your club to be able to throw a car show that's going to work, and not break the bank, you know. You don't want to break the bank to try to do something positive, then it's going to turn to a negative, right? So I think it's sad to say that we've got a big gap between the businesses and the car clubs. If a car club ever come to me and ask me, I'm not going to contradict myself. I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to try to help them out because I know what it was to be there one day, or I was there one time to ask for the help. So I think it's sad to say that there was a big gap between decades, between my time in the 90s to now 2020, 2020, 22, 23, so it's sad to say, and I hope that things change, and I think it will, to be honest. So I think that leads more to where I think things are going to change is because more modern now, you can get the word out, but we still got to rent the places, we still got to pay for the light, we still got to treat our treat the people right that are going to come. Because me personally, if I got people that are going to come in from Cali, if I got people that are going to come in from Corpus, Austin, Houston, even close to Houston, I'm gonna want to treat them with the Airbnb. I'm gonna want to treat them with a hotel because again, they're bringing revenue to Victoria. It's gonna come back to us as the Victoria business people. Anything with connections that you sell something, it's gonna profit you. So I think that's what I mean when I think things are gonna change because instead of us having to mail off and buy all these stamps and there's a time gap getting the word out. When someone says, hey, I'm willing to give you 300, I'm going to sponsor part of your car show. Uh, this is my name, put it down. I think that 300 can go for the overhead and to treat the clubs that are coming in because I want to be honest, some of these clubs that come in from different towns, man, they're heavy hitters, man. They got some unique cars to the detail. I mean, these guys have been building their cars for over 10, 15, 20 years, and you can tell. I mean, you can see it. So I think that's where the modern age is going to really help get this going again. I'm getting a big positive vibe of this. The way that Mitchell threw this car show, he did it perfect. He almost did it the way I would have done it. Because he showed that he's 100. He traveled the furthest distance. He went to the show that all shows, which is in Cali, right? Super Show, Lowrider Magazine. This is where everybody wants to be at. He walked the walk, did that step. So by him doing this, it's light of life, right? It's Super Show, Victoria, Texas. This is a different show out of all shows, right? And it says it when you read it. I even had a gentleman ask me earlier, he's like, hey, what does this mean? I said, well, I explained to him exactly what it meant. It meant that this guy is throwing it. He lived the life. He talked to the men. He talked to them guys at the Cali show. He built a relationship, got words exchanged. Everybody worked as a team, united as one, and said, hey, let's do this. So he took that energy, his own energy, and ran with it. So I think that what I predict in the future is a lot of this going on. I'm going to see that the surrounding counties are going to want to show up at that crossroads because we have always been at crossroads. We've been a shine just in the background. The crossroads is a unique spot to live because we're in the middle of everybody. So I think that being that the man threw the super show, it's going to say something out of the unique, right? And seeing today is proving itself. So I really think that it's the positive, man. I got a positive vibe out. It felt good. It felt good to be out here. I hadn't been at a show where I represented myself or the club in over a couple of decades, 3 decades at least. For me to be able to talk to people that seen the pictures and seen memories of their own memories of my pictures was a good feeling. So I think that when I saw all this positive walking by and talking, and they were talking, whispering among themselves, and talking about this and talking about that, that was positive, man. That was some good stuff. So I honestly feel like it's gonna move forward from here. My honest opinion with the way the lowrider scene has blown up or has pumped up a lot more, being that with our lifestyle, with our culture and stuff, I think that there's going to be a handful individuals, and when I say handfuls, I'm talking about thousands of handfuls, right? That are going to take this positive note that says, hey, you know what? Do something out of your heart. Do it because you love it, and be 100 with the way you represent. There's going to be that trend again, man. That back in '87 and '91, back in '83 or '84 when I walked out that school bus, they're going to be that trend of that group. They're going to be like, hey, that Aztec style, that lowrider, that culture of the Chicanos, Mexican culture, that love for them, for that is going to be embedded still in them, right? But they didn't realize that they had it. But now this lowrider culture is popping up again. I think we're going to be a positive vibe for a lot of them, and not necessarily. I got some close friends that are Caucasian and different nature. And you know what? Different culture. It's all we take it all. So I think that I think on a good note, we're going to see a lot more of the youngsters building some of their dream cars. Be a good thing to add, being to the curb, being a founder, a member, a brother. It's always been my saying that whatever your flavor is, as long as you got heart and you want to represent, then you're more than welcome in our club. And what that means is, if you like hot rides, if you like lifted trucks, if you like low riders, if you like bikes, motorcycles, whatever it is, what we care about is you as a person. So whenever you're gonna give 100 or something from your heart, that proves to us that you have a heart, you have integrity, you have humility, you have all it takes to be a good person. So whatever it is you want to, wherever it is you want to represent, we were the guys that would take you in because we loved you because you love what you did and you did out of your heart.